Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to have a go at painting some other people's designs, and I thought I would share with you a couple of my favorites from TikTok. The other day I was talking about channels on YouTube that I like to watch. I don't actually go to TikTok very often, but there are a few artists who do things on there, and I'm going to unashamedly have a go at doing a painting which is by Andrea, and I'll put a link below to her so that you can follow along and see what you think with hers and mine. She did a very cute little polar bear who I want to paint, and she started off by drawing a rectangle. I'm going to start off by differently. I'm going to start off by drawing his ears. I'm going to just put 2 semicircles of ear on the top there, and leave a fair bit of gap at the top. And then I'm going to just come straight down a little bit wider at the bottom than at the top. So a bit like that kind of thing. And then what she did was she basically divided this in 2, and she put a scarf around his neck like this. And she sort of did it the way I'm doing it. I don't know actually if she did it quite the way I'm drawing it, but something like this. Mine will be different, I guarantee. If you go and have a look at hers and you see, and this is what you call, what do they say? Steal like an artist. And I think this is, as that person says who wrote that book, I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. There's nothing new under the sun. It says that in Ecclesiastes. Nothing new under the sun. So I'm going to put 2 eyes up here, fairly close together, very small. And then I'm going to do the mouth and nose. I'm going to do that again differently from the way she did it. She started with the nose, actually. I'm going to start just below the nose, and I'm going to come down like this and go up, and then come down here and go up like that. And then we'll put a sort of upside down triangle for the nose in there like that. And then she gave him a sort of lower lip like that. And mine is different from hers, but it's her idea. So I'm like, all the famous artists in the past who copy other people's ideas and change them. And that's the way the world works, really. And I'm just going to put his ears in like that. And then you can look at him and you can say to yourself, I don't know, maybe I want to make him a bit fatter at the bottom. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I'm using a piece of Meaden watercolor paper here. This is 10 by 7. And this is a rough, because that's what I happen to pick up. So I'm just going to make him a little bit fatter like that. And then I'm going to use her trick, which was an interesting one. What she does is she picks up the color that she's going to use for the sky. And I'm going to use my Kuretake paints. And this is Prussian blue, which you could mix with a bit of black. If you wanted to make it really nice and dark, you can mix Prussian blue and black together. And then the idea is you just literally paint around the outside of your drawing. Well, paint around your drawing, actually. And I would say, personally, that a little bit of wobble is a good thing. A little bit of wobble never did anyone any harm. As the jelly said to the trifle. There we go. So you go all the way around like that, and you don't paint the whole thing in paint. What you do is you then wash off your brush and you just put water behind the bear and you let it spread out. And the idea of doing it like this is to give you a nice random effect of moving paint. Okay, you don't have to do it this way. And if it's already started to dry, which it might, you might need to give it a little bit of a rub. But if you're doing a TikTok video, you might, not saying that she did, but you might pretend that you didn't have to do that. Anyway, so there we are, and we'll let that kind of bleed out. Just going to wet that a little bit more so that it bleeds out a little bit better, because it doesn't all have to be, you know, boom, it's done. Because sometimes you need to, you know, come back in and alter things a little bit. But anyway, that's roughly the idea. So there's our bear. I'm going to actually put a little bit more colour in because I think it's gone a bit pale, but that's okay too. It'll still dry unevenly, which is probably what we want. We'll get rid of that hair. Come on, hair today, gone tomorrow. Right, so that's that. So what we have to do now, of course, is we have to wait for it to dry. Or we get impatient and we get our hairdryer out. Okay, so then the next thing we need to find is a smaller brush. And we're going to pick up some black and we're going to paint his nose, because that is the logical thing to do. And I think it's dry enough. So as Andrea said, leave a highlight. Don't put your... leave a highlight, yes, that's well done, Diane. So if you haven't managed to leave a highlight, come back in with a bit of white paint at the end. I'm not even going to try to draw this using paint because that is just too difficult. So I'm going to go to my black pen, and I think I've got a brush pen here somewhere of this type. Here it is. That's it. It's got BR underneath it. So, no, hang on, put that away. I'm going to use this first. This is just a size 0.5, and we will come down the nose like that. And then we'll come round the muzzle like that. And then we need to give him some eyes. Something like that. What's next? Ears. We could go for a sort of greyish kind of colour for the ears, perhaps. Greyish pink inside of the ears, like that. And they don't, do they? They don't have whiskers, but they could have eyebrows. And little pink cheeks. And I'm going to give him a nice green and red striped scarf, I think. Green. It's raining again. Raining again. Hopefully it won't rain hard so you won't hear it in the background. We'll give him a fringe on his scarf. I'm going to risk doing some red, but I think I might use my acrylic pen for this. This is an Artex acrylic marker. And that way I can pretty much guarantee it won't run even if the green is a bit damp. Because we are running very late today, so I don't want to slow down the process. I'm having to do it all over again. This is where you do the creative part of your polar bear, you know, you choose the colour for his scarf. You could put holly and berries and things in the background, or whatever is your Christmas foliage of choice. Or you could just leave it like that, or you could come in with some white dots to indicate snow. And this year I'm actually against spatter because I have got these Artex acrylic markers, information in the description below, which I think give a very cool and quite sharp effect, which I, at the moment anyway, prefer to spatter. Also, it's more controllable and you can put it where you want it. So you might want to bear that in mind. This is different from the gel markers, the gel pens like this. These ones, which have been consistently driving me crazy ever since I discovered them 4 years ago, because they insist on drying up, clogging up, behaving badly, and generally giving me a fit of the heebie-jeebies every time I pick one up. But this acrylic marker is great, and that works. So there we are. I'm going to take our tape off, and because that's only literally taken me 10 minutes or so, I will be back in a minute once I've removed him from his pad, and we will do another card. Okay, so there he is, and I'll be back shortly. Right then, so I've taken off the masking tape or the washi tape, and there he is, one little bear. Thank you, Andrea, for the idea. And now we'll move on to the next thing. I've sketched this out. I will put a sketch up on the website for you in case you're interested and you don't feel up to drawing sheep. These are just outlines of two lambs on a little snow-covered hillside looking at the star, the Star of Bethlehem. So, all very religious today. Well, polar bears aren't that religious. Well, how do we know? Anyway, I couldn't find an ordinary wax crayon or anything, but this is a candle, as you can see. And because I just want to go over the star using this wax as a resist, I thought, well, it's got a kind of sharp edge here that I can draw with. So I'm going to just rub wax over the rays of the starlight, like that. And this is just to give me a start, because I want a sort of rustic star effect. And I won't get that if I don't put some resist in. You could use masking fluid or something like that if you wanted. I'm sure you could make it work with other things as well. And I don't know for sure at the moment whether or not this is going to work, but we'll see. Come with me on the adventure into outer space. So I'm going to use the same technique that I just used with Andrea's polar bear. I'm going to mix up some phthalo blue and mix it with a bit of black, quite a bit of black, a bit more black than the last time, so that it's quite nice and dark. And then I'm going to go round my sheep. And again, we don't want to worry too much about the lines being dead straight, because the furry coats of sheep, that is to say their fleeces, are definitely not, you know, they're sort of irregular, aren't they? So I'm using a size 5 brush so that I can get fairly close into the pointy bits. The most important part of this would be the drawing. So that's the bit that you would want to trace so that you have it more or less right. And we're going between the back legs, under the tummy, and just a little bit here between those two legs as well. Replenish our paint a bit and keep going. Now, this is a similar technique to the one that Andrea used, where you go round the shape of the subject that you're painting. So it's negative painting. But I'm not going to worry too much about making this paint run away from the subject. We actually want it just to give us a nice clear outline so you can see the sheep emerging. And we're not going to go across there because that's where the snow is, and we'll put that in last. So that's just the side of the hillside. Paint up to the washi tape, and then I'll just go over that bit a bit more, and then I just need to come down there a little bit and sharpen up the shape of the ear. And I'm just doing this to give me a little bit more room for error, because I'm going to switch to a bigger brush now, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Plenty of black with my phthalo blue. Not too thick, not too thin. It's good practice for water control. And I'm just going to go up from the bits that I've drawn round my sheep. I have to be a bit careful here. I think this would make a lovely card, actually, and very quick. The other one, the polar bear, that took me 13 minutes from beginning to end, and that included putting on the masking tape, really. So not too bad. You can, produce quite a few of those in an afternoon, couldn't you? If you're still behind on your cards, or you've got a party coming up and you want to hand out something. I don't know how things work these days. So now I'm just going over my resist, and you can see I've got a nice star shape, which is standing out. So we'll leave that like that, and we'll kind of let that dry. You could lift some of it off using a brush if you wanted to. But I think I'll just leave that. Actually, tell you what I will do, as a matter of fact, grab a tissue, and I'm just going to take the center out like this. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with some gold. I have here, it's only going to be faint, and I'll touch it up afterwards once it's dry. But I'm just going to come in with some gold paint there. This is, you've seen me using the Schminker liquid powder paint, right? So just to give it a kind of golden glow. And then once that's dry, I'm going to go over it with more gold. So at this point, it doesn't look the way I want it to look, but it will. It will. Okay, well, it probably will. Okie doke. So now I'm going to, here on my palette, I have got a mixture of different neutrals here that are from previous paintings. And one good reason for not cleaning up your palette every time you finish painting, because you know you've never finished really, one good reason for not is that you will often find that the next painting that you do requires the colour that you left behind. So I'm going to put some just very pale greyish, pinkish grey on these sheep's bodies, just to indicate the fleece. Okay, and not too much, but just enough to give some shape. And then the lamb, you don't want it too dark. That there would have been too dark. You really don't. You just want tiny touches. Don't go bonkers. You can always add more, but it's hard to take it away. And then let's do some nice snowy shadows and bits and bobs. For the snow. You want a mixture of hard lines like that and soft lines where you've added water to drag it out, so you get your shadows, which give the indication of snow. Okay, I think that will do. Now I'm going to get my hairdryer and dry that, and then we'll put the stars in the sky. Now, I said in the previous video that I was actually quite a fan at the moment of the acrylic marker for nice, tidy snow or star drops. And that I was enjoying using it for that. But for this one, I'm going to use white gouache because I want a more random effect. So this is just another way of doing it. You might prefer one over the other. I'm just using, this is Talons, Royal Talons gouache, which is just opaque white watercolor, and is one good way of simulating snow when you're doing the sorts of paintings that we do. So I'm just taking it out of the jar, putting it in my little dish and mixing it up thoroughly so I get the right sort of consistency, which I might have to adjust as we go forward. Now, when you do this, I'm just going to put a piece of paper over the back of the card because we're bound to make a mess. You can apply this for stars or for whether they're stars or snowflakes, it doesn't matter because it comes to the same thing. You can tap a brush that's well loaded like this, just using your finger, and you can just do that. Or you can hold the brush and you can take another tool and you can tap like that. Alternatively, if you feel like being really messy or having very fine stars, so we've got some nice big ones there, you can take a toothbrush, old toothbrush, not to be given to your next guest, and you put some paint on it, and then this is the bit that some people don't like doing, but I actually quite do. So you just go like this and you get the Milky Way. Okay, so you just spray as much as you like on there and you get all those tiny stars. And obviously you can do this with any color. You could do this with the gold. So you could go to your dish of gold and pick up a whole bunch of that as well. And then you can do some gold in the stars like that. And then, having done that, we need to reinforce our Star of Bethlehem a little bit. Again, different ways of doing that. You could leave it like that, actually, if you wanted to. I don't think that looks at all bad now we've sprayed over the top of it with paint. What do you think? It does look quite star-like. Or we could go to a gold pen, and I think I might do that. Let me see. Have I got my slicky pen anywhere around here? Always hides. I don't know where it's gone. Where's it gone? Oh, there it is. All right, so we could do that. We could come into the middle and we could just sort of, where's my, what I want actually, and I haven't got, oddly enough, but I suddenly feel the need, is gold ink that I could dip into. I don't think I've got any. Anyway, so I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to kind of scribble into it like that. Doing those rays, kind of like that. And I think I'm going to leave it like that, to be quite honest. I could pick up some gold paint from, I'll tell you where I could get some gold paint from. I have a drawer here labelled gold sets. I could pick up a little bit of this Mab. Oh, that's not gold. Those are coloured, that's nice. That's the Mab Nature series. I should have got everything out before I started. I'm sorry about that. I don't know where it's gone now. I can't say I am the most organised person on the planet. Ah, there we go. This is one of the dot cards that Milena will send out if you request them. And it has the same colours on it as the little tin I have, which has got the little £half in it. And yeah, we've got Radiant, we've got Brilliant, we've got Nuggets, we've got all sorts of golds. And yeah, could use one of these. So I'm just going to try and wake it up a little bit. These gold paints are really very nice. She sells them on Etsy, and you get a 10% discount on her prices if you enter Diane 10 at checkout. So there is that. Yeah. So, and she's in England, but she does ship worldwide, and she doesn't charge an arm and a leg. Okay, so I've just strengthened the center of that star a bit. And I'm going to just wet my brush a bit more, pick up a little bit more paint, and just put just a few golden stars in the sky. There we are. I'm going to call that done because we don't want to go too far, because you know what happens. You spoil it if you go too far. So let's remove our masking tape. I reused it, you know. I used the same masking tape for this one as I did for the first one. So now we have our two cards using similar but not quite the same process of working. Thank you very much, Andrea, for the idea. I don't know if it was your original idea, but I certainly found it on your TikTok. This one, I don't know where that comes from. I found a picture somewhere and I thought, oh, that's nice. So I will let you go now. Tamsin needs to do this video post haste because I was out of order this morning. But we've made it. We have got through to the end of our God knows how many videos. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we've just passed 160,000. So we now have 160,035 subscribers, which is amazing. Amazing. Rah. Okay, I'll let you go. I'll see you soon. Bye now, everybody. Bye-bye.